I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good morning. There are separate sheets up here for public comment if you want to sign up, so we have an idea of who's going to be speaking at the public comment portion. Yep. Also, it's been requested that I kind of go over the request to address the Briley Township Board and basically meeting etiquette. I've got a highlighted portion on here that has to be read. No one, because it's been told that we need to give warnings for being out of order, so it just basically says no one shall commit a breach of the peace at the meeting. A breach of the peace is defined at any noise, including speaking to others other than during the public comment part of the meeting. Individuals committing a breach of the peace during the meeting will be asked to leave, according to MCL 15-263. If they refuse such a request, law enforcement will be called to evict them. I guess for clarification.
I move to approve the agenda.
A second.
A motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any
We haven't even
discussion?
had a roll call yet.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Rick,
Here?
supervisor,
Here.
clerk, me, I'm here. Treasurer,
Here.
everybody's here. Okay, motion to approve the agenda.
And a second.
Who seconded?
Mary did.
Okay.
Any discussion?
I think that a lot of the things on this agenda are not ready for adoption. And, you know, the park recreational ordinance and, the multi-day collaborative agreement and the water ordinance.
And do you want to leave them on there to discuss?
Oh, we can leave them on there for discussion, I just hope that they're not adopted. You know, it'd be one thing if it was just simple typos, but there's actual language issues with all three of them.
Okay.
The other thing is the trustee appointment. I'm sure whoever it is highly qualified or a good person for the township, but I have not seen any of the letters of interest for this position. My board packet at this meeting was 3 copies of the water ordinance. So we have incomplete board packets and we're supposed to make a decision on appointing somebody.
Then whatever's said is okay.
Yeah, well, that's what we're discussing.
Okay.
So what are we talking about here?
We're talking-
Approving this
Rick's
agenda.
talking about things he doesn't think should be on
Yeah,
the
he was
agenda.
talking about the water and the collaborative agreements in the park
Right,
recreation.
and I'm also talking about the trustee appointment. We haven't interviewed the candidates, I have no information on who the 3 even are. If there is 3,
You got the 3.
I have the 3.
shouldn't that be included in board packets?
Yep, here's 3. You want
Well, no, now I know who the 3 are, that makes more sense for me. Outside of that, I have no other discussion on approving the agenda.
Do you guys want to amend your motion or just approve it as is?
Prove as is, I want to, just
Okay.
get it over with.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay, motion passed.
We're waiting for you.
I'm looking at the old business trustee appointment is first on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we nominate Mary Jo Whitmire, being it's just to fulfill the rest of the term, and leave her as deputy treasurer as well.
Is there support?
Okay, I'll support it.
A motion and support to appoint Mary Jo Whitmire as,
Except I wanna amend it, except I wanna amend her motion to say immediately, effective immediately. You know, not effective sometime down the road, but you didn't say that, did you?
No, I didn't.
Giving anybody else interested a chance to speak for their interest.
Right. Need a public interview.
I mean, for lack of a better example, I mean, Vanessa Warner has actively tried to serve this township for at least the past year. You serve on the airport board currently. You ran in an election. You've been trying to find a foothold in here, and I think you should have a voice in stating your case for why you should be in here. And it gives us a chance at a younger generation coming in and potentially finding a way to change the atmosphere around here. I'd have no problem working with any of the three, and the third is Kat Kirk. She's my neighbor, she's a American Legion member, highly active in the community as far as any of the events that I'm a part of. All three of them are great candidates. But they should be in front of the people stating their case on why they're the person for the job. And I don't think we're doing them any justice by not giving them a voice to do that. If it was an election, they'd be out campaigning doing the same thing. An appointment to fill a vacancy when there's still a year left on that vacancy, that's a long time to make some bad decisions. But you have a motion and you have a second,
we have a
so.
motion and a second. In support of the motion and the second, Mary Jo Whitmire did run for office, and her vote count was extraordinary, so the public has support on her serving on this board at least through this term.
And a resignation?
Her too.
When she
I'm
resigned,
sorry, please, we're
Oh,
trying to
yeah.
conduct the meeting.
make it fair.
Any other discussion?
My motion stands.
And I appreciate what you're saying. I think we've got three fine candidates. And all would do just fine.
I wanna do this by roll call if we're ready to vote.
Okay, there's no more discussion?
Okay. Wojcik,
Yes.
Comber, yes. Freeman, yes. Klein?
No, we're not even considering the other two.
Okay.
Okay, motion passed. Water ordinance.
No, wait a minute,
Oh,
she was appointed effective immediately, so you can swear her in right now.
gotcha.
You even have the form.
You're right. We take a recess for 2 minutes while this is done.
I gotta try and get us some coffee.
And the Constitution of this state.
And the Constitution of this state.
And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of
And I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of
trustee
Riley Township
in and for the Township of Riley,
in for the Township
County of Mount Nancy,
of
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
And this term will expire on November 2020. Okay. I'm gonna let you take your name. What is today?
Today's the
25th?
There's your fourth packet.
25th. Days of 2019.
Damn cat. Get your butt home.
Very good. Thank you. Again.
Mm-hmm.
take her seat.
Thank you. Welcome back to the board.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for expressing confidence in me. And I want to thank all of the constituents. I hope that I will try my best to do a very fair and unbiased job for all of you.
Okay, number 2, water ordinance.
Okay, I move we adopt the water ordinance as offered with one change. On page 2, Article 2, Section 1, it says, private water wells prohibited except as hereinafter provided shall be unlawful for an owner, occupant, or tenant of property to drill or maintain a private water well within the township. Then if you look at 3, it says, use of private water well for non-potable use is permitted. The owner, occupant, or tenant of the property may drill, operate, maintain, and repair a private well for non-potable purposes only. So they can water their grass or do anything else they want with a private well, but they can't drink it. So I think Section 3 should just be included in Section 1 because they're basically, they're about the same thing, so that's the change I offer with my motion.
I'm gonna support his motion only for the sake of discussion.
Great. Thank you.
One, this isn't ready. It's not even close ready to adoption.
That's it.
Was it seconded?
I seconded it.
Oh, okay.
I supported your motion, just so we can discuss this.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not ready for adoption. You pointed out the first flaw in the article, because 1 and 3 contradict each other. If you go under Article 4, Section 1, on page 7, if you're working off the draft copy, the owner, occupant, or tenant of any building or premises entitled to the use of water from the water works system shall not supply water to any person except upon written permission of the water clerk. Well, if I'm paying for my water, and my friend has no electricity, and I give him water, I'm not gonna come here and ask for permission, because I paid for that water. At the point I gave it to him, it was already my water. I think that needs to be, that all of Section 1 on Article 4 needs to be just struck right off.
I think what they were speaking to there on that one was you running a line off of your water system and 2 properties being run off of 1 meter.
Well, that's not what it says. And the other thing is what would the difference be if that water is still being counted and paid for? It's still my water. If I bought the property next door to mine and I ran a garden hose to run the entire house or whatever's there, I'm still paying for my water off of my original meter.
So could you do the same with electricity and run electricity lines to your neighbor's house and through your meter?
As long as
It's a utility.
the utility's being paid for, there shouldn't be a problem with it. So I have a guy right now that his well went dry. He shows up to my shop every day and I fill up water bottles for him. So I'm violating the water ordinance by helping him out?
I don't think it was, I think it's the hookup. I don't think it's the
Okay, but
transportation of water.
then that
but I
should
think
be
it's a-
defined. If we're gonna have an ordinance lays out rules and becomes a
Understood.
guideline.
But if we have no ordinance whatsoever, even if it's bad, we have nothing to,
I'm sorry, which number is that, Rick?
That would fall under, Article 4, Section 1.
Article 4, Section 1.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Article 4, Section 1.
Okay.
Which is page 7. So if you guys come over to my house, nobody asks me for a glass of water, I can't give you one.
Is this copy?
I don't have permission from the township.
Well, I sneak over and I turn your hose on, so I'll tell you.
Oh, okay. And then,
So, what do you want, for that just to be taken out?
yeah, why if the water's being paid for, do I have to ask for permission to give it to whoever I want?
Well, I'll accept
Then that's gonna
that
free it up
amendment.
so anybody can take and hook up and run a hose and just let it go, correct?
Yeah, but they still.
No,
have to
that's
pay.
not what that's not what this says. It says if I'm gonna give water to anybody, I have to have special permission to do it. Well, if I pump a jug full of water for a friend, that water's been paid for off of my meter. I'm gonna end up paying for that water, so why do I need special permission to do it? This has nothing to do with the utility side, the street side of this. This has to do with the usage. Because it also says that if you're gonna willfully waste water, you know, that there's an issue there too. Well, if you're paying for the water, how are you willfully wasting it?
You know what?
Is
74,
this-
74, we moved out of South
Anyway, I
Detroit.
told you I'd accept that amendment to strike it. So,
Okay.
No, is this components of the old water ordinance as well as,
some,
so is this part of the old water ordinance that was there or was it added?
Well, this isn't part of an old water ordinance by Briley.
it's not part of the
Get rid of
previous
these,
ordinance, I don't think.
Water service area.
And I don't see any problem either as long
Are you
as
working on
Rick's-
the,
As long as Rick's paying for the water, I mean, somebody's gonna pay for the water, but.
Yeah, but
are you working off the draft copy from the last meeting? Or are you working off this one? Cause I haven't had time to review this
You're
one.
working up,
But if you're going off the draft copy from the last one, it actually makes, reference to Antrim County's public health. This was not part of Briley's old water ordinance.
this is basically a whole new ordinance that I got help from Antrim County and various other
Right.
places
So
because it's so darn long.
This can't be part of Briley's original water ordinance. That's why I say this needs more review before it's adopted.
we had no potable water in the 70s. We moved out of South Detroit, down to New Boston where me and Bruno grew up. We had to go down to Belleville, we had to fill our jugs at a well, it was a spring, and then finally the township let us fill it. They didn't charge us. So, I mean, maybe water's different than power.
I don't have a problem with people having to pay for water, but if you're already paying for that water, it becomes your property, so you don't need permission to use it.
That's what I'm saying, we didn't need permission, they
We
allowed us to
already,
go do although it. the water
We
is
already
there,
have a
you know
motion
what I'm
and a
talking
second
about.
to delete that section,
I
so.
just wanna add to.
We had well water.
Rick's
Right.
comment, though, is the water is tested and tracked, and if you're giving water, somehow,
be
if it
taxed.
was contaminated, you need just like beef and pork.
Right.
You need to find out where it
Good
went,
God,
should it go?
right.
Because it is regulated. So, I don't know.
Excuse
That's
me.
something that can be looked into. I'm just saying that I see other ends of it that might.
But if you grew up there, you know what I'm talking about. We had no city water.
When we're ready to vote, I wanna do roll call.
Okay. Personally, I think
Are you ready
if
to vote
Rick
now?
has pretty good grasp on the water ordinance, if this, even if it passes, if it needs amendments,
You need
Over
water.
time,
You give water.
can you get with Ed and find and work on this?
Yeah, that's what we should be doing rather than adopting this today.
I know. I'm with
Do we have a current water ordinance?
Oh, yeah,
Up and running, okay.
but it's deficient in a lot of ways. For example, when this was all finished, it was 16 pages long. So it was a monumental task. And then Joanne single-spaced it because we double-spaced it so we could cut and paste, you know what I mean? So it's still 11 pages long. And I think this is a fine start. I mean, maybe there's still things that need to be changed, but I think that the two things that Rick mentioned are the most glaring. But anyway, are we voting or not?
Yeah, there's a motion and a second.
Okay. Supervisor,
No.
Clerk, yes. Treasurer?
You have to have one in place.
That's right.
So you said we had one in place.
Yeah, but it doesn't allow putting into the taxes.
No. No.
No? Okay. No. Where is, okay. Klein?
No,
Okay.
Missing one.
Whitmire?
No.
Okay.
I'd like to make the motion that we get this reviewed, and if Rick has looked at it and found some discrepancies, that he would work with the clerk's office in trying to develop some sort of draft for our next meeting.
you don't need a motion for that, that's what I'm supposed to be doing already. But I'll second it.
I mean, so that there's something that you
Fine.
can pass at the next
Sure.
meeting, so we don't.
I'll support your motion, and I'll work with Ed as much as we need to do, and
Yeah, just to get something that we can get running, because the old, even if we have to have a special to get it through, if you guys can expedite that,
okay.
that'd be great. Because I would be comfortable with getting something to replace our old ordinance, which is inadequate.
Yeah, keep Big Brother happy.
I'd just be comfortable with the fact that we're gonna work on something before we adopt it.
Great.
Motion to approve the park and recreation ordinance. I'll make that motion.
We're skipping things here.
Yeah, well, the motion failed on the water ordinance.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Okay, multi-day collaborative agreement. Oops.
No, the park ordinance is.
No, it's
Oh,
collaborative
you're
agreement.
right.
Collaborative
Collaborative agreement. Oh, I left that out.
I'll use yours.
Hmm? If you give it back during discussion.
I will. Well, there's some things you didn't. I just wanted to see if it was the same as the last one I see. Okay, is there a motion on the multi-day collaborative agreement?
I'll make a motion we adopt it.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Motion and support for discussion.
Was that,
Here we-
was that a Whitmire second?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
okay, here we go, right? So, there's reasons we shouldn't be adopting this today either. If you look in the very first, well, first paragraph of it, we'll say, Riley Township wishes to collaborate with blank, which is right, in providing our residents and visitors the long-standing cultural festival. Not all of them are long-standing cultural festivals that are gonna be down there as part of a collaborative agreement. Vet Fest is in its infancy. We have a chance to have other things that will probably be the first time they've ever happened. So that needs a little bit of rewording. In the third paragraph, reservation agreement, the use of the parking lot directly in front of Maisie Building, boat launch dock, playground equipment, south side of the park, all of that stuff. We've already talked about that during the public hearing and said that if they go and get letters saying that they can use that stuff, they can use that. There's no reference to that in here. The third paragraph, blank shall publicize all forms of advertising, yada yada. Event is sponsored in part by Briley Township residents. You cannot say the township or the residents are sponsoring this because then it looks like you're spending their money. The township cannot spend money on that kind of thing. The fourth paragraph, the deposit may be by check, which will be returned when the key is returned to the township office. We'll go back to the last meeting, there's absolutely no reason, if somebody brought in cash, that their envelope can be labeled, their name sealed, put in the
That's
vault.
taken out.
No, it's there.
Well, anyway, I retyped another one, so my motion is to.
Well, hold on, I'm not done yet.
No,
Hold on, it's my
Okay.
discussion, you'll get your turn. Okay,
Go ahead, Rick, it's in your.
Briley Township agrees to provide, right, road closure permits, parade permits, banner permits, only after the chamber provides the correct placement. Okay, this is a collaborative agreement, not the chamber's agreement. Grass cutting in the park, again, grass cutting in park prior to the event, delivery of barricades trailer to the chamber parking lot. is this the Chamber's collaborative agreement, or is this for everybody, Vet Fest included? You go to the second page, number 8, provide group minutes or similar authorization. If I am the commander of the VFW, I can't give you the minutes of our meetings because they're closed. There's certain requirements for membership. If I am the commander, that is the authorization right there. I command the VFW, so if I come in here and I want to rent it, my word is all you need. And number 9, provide Briley Township a list of names and addresses of all vendors. I see that being something we really don't need. And after number 9, the Briley Township Park Ordinance is incorporated into this agreement, a copy of which is attached. Well, it's not attached on here, and we're still working on a park ordinance. So I think once the park ordinance is ready, then we could go back and make this finalized and be ready too. That's all I had.
Good discussion.
Again, when this was put into
You
place,
have a recommendation on how to remedy it.
Yeah, we actually have a public hearing like we said we were gonna do to finalize it, and then we adopt it. When we had the first public hearing, we said we were gonna have another one, and we're not giving the people a chance to see the alterations that's been made.
remember that.
Okay, I am.
It's on film, I went back and looked,
That
just
we
to make
said
sure,
that we
yeah,
were
just to
gonna
make
do
sure I wasn't wrong.
A second,
Yeah.
I don't remember us agreeing to the second one.
I'll amend my motion to take out must be made by check. The deposit, and then it'll say the deposit will be returned to you when the key is returned to the township. And I don't know, it might be true, because I don't see it, but I don't think there's any other reference in here to the chamber, except that it says the chamber parking lot.
Well, if you
That's what
look,
it says.
That, we all know where the chamber parking lot is, and so I think, you know, unless they have an objection, that's
Let me see
perfectly
yours.
okay.
let me see yours so I can match it to mine real quick.
Maybe they're not the same.
Chamber parking lot.
This has always been said that it wasn't gonna fit every entity, it was just the blanket one, that's what we said.
Well,
Not
a
everything
blanket
in
one
here.
would fit
Not
every entity,
everything.
that's what a
Not
blanket,
everything in here is gonna represent what this organization or a person comes in here
Is it
and
the
is
same?
gonna ask for.
no, it's different from mine. But see, that's the problem, if you're saying it's gonna be a blanket, by the definition of having a blanket form, it fits every situation. We need another public hearing on this.
It's only gonna fit what they
Okay, when we
need.
vote, I want a roll call again.
I'm actually gonna withdraw my support from that, from your motion. I mean, if we're not gonna look at the other things I listed out here, I'm not gonna
We have
support
another-
this.
We have another second then?
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second.
Actually, did Mary Jo, didn't you second that in the first place?
No, I did,
Rick,
just for the argument.
Okay.
I have a question to Ed.
Okay, go
because
for it.
I just received this. In the park agreement or the collaborative agreement, is it stated anywhere that when someone rents our facilities, that they are to be returned back to the township in the condition that they were received, and they need to pick up anything extra that they have used during their event?
I can't tell you for sure it says that in here, but I know it says it in the ordinance.
Well, see, the problem is we're working on adopting not only a collaborative agreement, but also a park ordinance at the same time.
I understand.
One would need to precede the other one, and you are right, it does say it in the potential park,
Where does it say that?
that you have to leave it the way it is. It actually says it's unlawful to leave it the way it is, and we're gonna get into that, but I think it was meant to actually say that you have to leave it in, you know, neat sanitary condition, leave it the way, premises in good order, you know. It does say that kind of stuff, it does say you have to have your stuff out of there within 3 days of, after your event, you know, but one needs to precede the other one. We're going in the wrong order about this, and neither one of them is healthy enough on their own to stand.
I understand what you're saying, but we have an example right now in the downtown park that needs to be addressed. And I wanted to make sure that before I vote for either one of these, that issue is addressed either in the collaborative agreement or the Parks and Rec.
Yeah, it's, your issue is.
It is addressed.
In the ordinance. I think I'm not sure about this, but I think your issue relates to fires. And if I'm right about that, then it's page 2, and it's the above said premises being owned by the Township of Briley, right at the top. I think that's your issue. If it is,
No, that is not my issue. My issue is a liability issue. Those that know my background know that I have an extensive background in finances and insurance. And I see the stage that's in the downtown park, number one, being a liability issue. And number two, I don't feel with that stage being left there that it's fair to all of the residents of Riley Township. Speaking in my own family, we are fair-skinned people. It was very nice to be able to go to the open-air pavilion and sit there, view the water, and numerous people, taxpayers in the community have come to me and said that they really miss being able to use that pavilion in the way that they used it before.
since you, I'm sorry.
Well, one, we're way off topic here. The topic is the collaborative agreement. 2, we're gonna get into that, but to address that, it was left only as a potential for people in the community to use it, and this board approved that. Now that the season is changing, by the end of this weekend, the stage is going away for storage, so it's no longer an issue. And I don't believe it was ever a liability issue. It's structural, it's actually fastened to the posts of the pavilion. It's not a liability.
When the power plant insurance man was here and he went down and he looked at all of our buildings and stuff, because that's what he's supposed to do, and he come back and he recommended that that be taken out of there.
Well, it's
Because
gonna be
it is-
taken out of
He
there.
recommended that it be taken out because it is an insurance liability.
Well, so
That's
is
what
the
he
dock.
said.
So is the pavilion in
He went and
itself.
looked at everything down there.
The
and that's what
pavilion's an
he come
insurance
back.
liability if somebody slips on the floor when they're going to the bathroom.
Fuck it, man, make
Mary
a
Jo,
bonfire out of it.
your
People wanna be stupid.
your issue is
Start a
very,
bonfire.
well, I consider it a very good issue because it's true you haven't gotten to read these. So, I'll change my motion to,
What are you changing your motion on? We're so far off
Just
topic.
a
Are we
minute.
talking about collaborative
Let me
agreement or
talk.
park ordinance?
it's my turn.
Okay?
So I'll change my motion to
Motion and a second. is for
Table.
Collaborative agreement.
table both the ordinance and the collaborative agreement until the next meeting, so we know that Mary Jo has been able to come up to speed. You got a second on that one?
Okay, now that we're in discussion for that.
I don't know if we have a second.
Yeah, she did.
Okay.
So now that we have a second for that, I've already told you what was wrong with the collaborative agreement. Let me go back to my park ordinance.
That one ain't do that.
We just
You don't wanna
tabled it.
table it?
No, and we're in discussion on tabling, and I'm gonna tell you why this is a bad idea to table it, because then there's not gonna be any discussion about it.
Go
The
ahead.
discussion, if you go to the second page of it, number 1, it shall be unlawful for any person, association, firm, corporation, profit, or nonprofit organizations using the recreational area or park to either perform or permit to be performed any of the following acts. Any person, association, or firm, corporation, profit, nonprofit organization using the recreational area shall clean up all debris. This just said unlawful and listed cleaning up after yourself as being unlawful. Extinguish all fires when such fires are permitted. So if we do ever have another bonfire down there, don't put that fire out, just let her keep ripping and roaring. Leave the premises in a good order and neat and sanitary condition. So that, again, is unlawful. The park ordinance is there to make people have to clean up after themselves, to protect things in the community, and we're gonna tell everybody it's illegal to clean up their garbage. Going on to B, under number 1, fires are only allowed in the one constructed fire pit in Bradley Township rec area, subject to the rules in this ordinance. The last ordinance left room where we could have a bonfire in the park as long as it was an elevated burn platform and as long as the debris and mess was cleaned up. So I don't know why we're not gonna include that again. And then fires are only allowed when the DNR fire danger is moderate or low. Well, if you go to Clear Lake, it doesn't matter what the fire danger is. If it's a contained fire pit, they can have fires whenever they want. And if we have an event in the park and if we wanna have a bonfire and have some unity, I don't think we need to even worry about that. We list out rules for how you're gonna be allowed to have a fire, which is fine, but then in bold print under all of that, fires are never allowed in Briley Township Park. Why list out rules for doing something and then take it right away? Moving through it, if you go to number 4C, sales, it is unlawful for any person other than those authorized by the township to vend, sell, peddle, or offer any sale of commodities or articles within recreation park area without consent of the township board. So if we get some kids that want to go down there and do a bake sale or have a lemonade stand and it happens to be on a Friday when the township is closed, they better not do it, or they're gonna get fined potentially $1,000 to $1,000 for using the park in a wrong manner. I think that's crap. And then the last statement in here, we the undersigned supervisor and clerk of Township of Briley do hereby certify that above ordinance was passed by the Briley Township Board on 19th day of August 2019. Well, it's no longer August. I don't remember talking about this before then. And if this gets approved exactly the way it is, we have all the other deficiencies, but now we have a wrong date on there. This stuff has to be talked about, it's gotta be worked out, and it has to happen at a meeting. So tabling it is exactly the wrong move to make here.
So we need to pass it?
No.
Or move on it?
No, we need to actually make a motion that we have a public hearing for both the collaborative agreement and for the park ordinance, so we can work out the deficiencies in them before they're adopted.
But it has to be, okay, I'll agree with you there, but somehow a document needs to be,
I have no problem if that said draft. I have a problem if you're gonna actually adopt something that has deficiencies in it.
understood. What is your recommendation on creating a document, on what's the process?
That we utilize these as drafts and we work from there.
Okay, and how do we get to a final?
Collectively, together. I mean,
And how
I'm a
how
block
is
away.
each paragraph agreed
I'm a block
upon?
away.
Let him finish.
I'm a block away.
Let him finish. He was talking.
But we have to schedule this. I don't mind doing it, I just need to know what the process is. Right now, we don't have a process. So Ed is taking it upon himself to try to do the best he can.
I'm not saying he's doing
not
it.
a user of
I'm
the
not saying
park,
he's
so-
doing
Let him
something wrong.
talk. You know the rules. We keep quiet when you talk. You keep
Okay.
quiet when he
Okay.
talks.
You don't sound quiet.
Okay.
Here would be my
Anyway,
solution.
I do want everybody to get input and to get a good document so that everything works properly.
My-
Putting it all on one person and then destroying the person.
I'm
for
not
their
destroying
efforts-
it. I'm not
for their-
destroying it.
Hey,
For the efforts that they've put into it, whether it's right or wrong, whether they've made some errors, is really unfair. We need to, if you have a process that you want to put forward, then let's do that. Let's make a motion to get a process to get these done.
Well, you still have a motion and second to table this. Let's get through one motion before we start another one.
Well, this is my discussion.
Okay.
You were able to talk while
Yeah.
and you talked about anything you wanted to during your time.
You asked the question, how do we have a process for this? All of us are
What is the
cap-
process?
all of us are capable of coming in and picking up a draft that somebody's wrote, working on it and bringing it back. The problem is I brought my draft back and it's gonna get adopted even with the errors in it.
When you bring your draft back, so if we've got 5 drafts coming back, now 5. How does it get 5 different drafts into one final
At a
draft?
public meeting where we collectively work together.
that's,
Okay, so do you want to propose, during this discussion of tabling it, a process to develop a final draft? And it could be on all of these.
Yeah, I did, a public hearing.
But the public hearing is not going to get it on paper. There has to be a way to
It's
get
on
something
paper
that's
right
going to
now
get
as a
in front of us.
draft. So we take these two documents to a public hearing, we finalize them, we fix whatever errors there are, and then we adopt them,
Okay, as the trustee, would you create the documents?
if need be.
Okay, would you, and you're not gonna have a problem if we tear them apart when you present them?
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Okay,
See, that's exactly why I wanted a table, so we could work on it some more. I mean, that's,
that's fine,
that-
but,
that's
somehow
why
we
I
need a
think-
process to work on. And I honestly, I understand that it's all on you and you've gotta come up with something, but I don't think it's fair that you get destroyed because there's typos and there's.
I didn't get straight.
Well,
I didn't destroy him, I destroyed the documents.
But it is his efforts, and it is his time and energy, and there's a lot of people.
Not taking
working
that
on
away
this.
from him. But collectively, there's 5 people on this board. And collectively, I
Why
don't
do you
think
keep interrupting
any of
him?
us
Why do you
carry,
keep
any of
interrupting
us
him? Why do
carry.
you keep
Please stop.
interrupting him?
Please
He's
stop.
talking.
Please stop.
Collectively, I don't think any of us carry.
Why do
our
you
weight and
keep
does the work.
interrupting him? Why do you keep interrupting him? He's
Please,
talking.
please.
Don't you get it?
Please stop. Please stop, everybody stop. Okay, there's a motion and a second to table this. I'm hoping to hear a motion on how to move these forward and how to get a good.
Well, everybody will have input then. That's just a fine thing. I don't have any trouble with people
Okay.
having input.
So is there any more discussion on tabling the discussion on these documents? Okay, do you want a roll call vote or just,
I think we can just have a regular.
okay,
vote.
all in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, we're gonna table those,
I'd like to make a motion that we take these to a public hearing. The park and the collaborative agreement.
okay.
Okay, all we have left, is your
Whoa.
planning-
Whoa.
Planning
I-
commission.
It gained no
motion-
support.
I'm looking for support for Rick's
Oh, I'm
motion
sorry,
of
okay.
having another public hearing on the multi-day collaborative agreement, even if it needs to be called that, but that seems to be probably.
See, personally, I think that's premature. And the reason I think that is because I think that we should all agree on something before we bring it before the public to see if they like it too. In other words, if we bring what we have before the public on a public hearing, you know, it's gonna be a long time of talking. And I think that we should have something that maybe we don't agree on, but at least we know what we're talking about before.
Well, for us to all agree, we have to be sitting at this table.
Before we think about having a public hearing.
Then we're gonna violate the OMA in the process of sitting down, talking about this to come to an agreement, to take it to a public hearing.
We have a motion on the floor to have a public hearing to discuss the park ordinance and the multi-day collaborative agreement. Is there support? I'll support it. Motion and a second to have, or at least schedule a public hearing to take a look at these documents, and even though we've gotten public input already, I don't know how the public input's going to change from then to now, but we can have another one. Any discussion? There is a motion and a second. All in favor for a public, scheduling a public hearing for the park agreements, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Motion failed.
Okay, all you got
One more
left is,
time. F you.
all you have-
I am voting against that, but the reason that I'm voting against it is because we still do not have a process. I like the idea of, because Rick has the majority of the objections, that he should sit down with Ed and they should come up with another draft before the public hearing.
I think
I can
that's a fine
support
idea.
I support that. You wanna write that down as a motion in a second?
Sure. Okay,
Okay. motion to have another rough draft created for discussion in the future, or even wherever it's discussed. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, Mary Jo.
That'll work.
Motion passed. Okay, that was difficult.
Stage rocks, so I like that thing.
Planning Commission appointment.
Wait till you help me move it.
Yeah.
Uh, I would like to reappoint Steve Stanfest because he just ended up a short term here. So his appointment would begin again in January of this year to the Planning
Is
Commission.
that a motion?
Yes,
Is that the last,
that's the appointment, no,
that's the last person that was appointed to the?
yes.
I would second that.
No, that wasn't a motion,
Oh,
that's,
I'm sorry.
the board needs to move to support
Okay.
the appointment or reappointment.
Who made the motion then?
Nobody,
Don't
Oh, I
have to.
thought you made it.
I can't, I'm the appointee.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
I'll make the motion,
To support the appointment,
yes.
And I will second that.
a motion and a second to support the appointment of Steve Stanfest to the Planning Commission. That would be a term expiring 3 years from then, because they're 3-year terms. And if it expires in December of 2020, no, 2019, I'm sorry, then 3 years would be 2022. So his term would go until December of 2022.
We just do this on motion, or we need a roll call?
It's just
Okay,
approval by the majority. It's
okay,
up to
go
you.
ahead.
You can have a roll call vote, let's do that.
I don't
It's
know,
easier,
roll call?
yes.
Okay, yourself?
Yes,
I'm a yes.
Yes.
Freeman? Klein?
No. I think it needs to be somebody that's a Briley
Whitmire.
resident.
Yes.
Okay. I move oh, no. Okay, what time is it? I have to leave. I have to take
Sorry.
Joanne to the doctor, and we can't adjourn it, but I have to leave.
public comments, Phillimore, you have a,
Well, everything that I see here today just tells me how screwed up this board is. You can't agree on things. You're not prepared for the meeting. None of these things you presented today were even close to being ready. The water ordinance is ridiculous. It came out of Antrim, and God knows where else, but I know Antrim. And there's things that pertain there, like wherever the main line is coming off a road into your property, not even before it gets to the meter, you can't do that. That's not our problem. Those pipes coming to your property, into your meter, are yours until they get in past that meter. Then they belong to the people. And that's just simple things. There's so many things wrong. If you look at the different sections here, like section 1, for example, or Article 1. Article 2, Section 1, private water wells are prohibitive. And when you go over here, it says on Section 3, use of private water well for non-potable waters is permitted. That means you can have a well, and you can water your grass with it. You can do anything you want, but you can't drink it. So even simple little things like that, and it gets worse as you go on, because I've read it a couple of times now. The thing on the collaborative agreement is 100% messed up again. If you were, for the Elk Fest, for example, when you got a 3-day festival and you have to maximize all the items on the fees, it comes to $595 for 3 days. Last year you charged how much? Far less. Far less. You're still in there talking about dumpsters. You should say something, not 2 or more as needed. You should provide dumpsters adequate for trash removal. Just simplicity. I mean, Rick's got tons of stuff in there I agree with. And provide Briley Township an insurance policy. That can be done with riders and simply naming Briley Township as also insured. You don't have to go out and get a separate policy. It's got to be responsible for all festival costs. You should say any, not all, because you don't know what they're gonna be. $1,000 performance bond would be required unless waived, it should have. Lessee for forfeit bond is above condition, if above the conditions are not met. So whose determination is that made? Is that a joint agreement, understanding that you will walk around and point out any deficiencies that haven't been cleaned up and charge them, keep the $1,000 without any say-so of the individual that's having the thing? And provide Briley's Township a name, list, and address of vendors? Absolutely not. You're not entitled to them for any reason whatsoever. The contract was not made with the township, it was made by the governing body of the organization having the event. I'm not gonna get into all this. All I can tell you guys is you're way off on everything here. The Park Pavilion reservation agreement for one-day events, it's I. What if you're somebody like Earl, it's not a multi-day event, it's a one-day event, and that's the car show. He wants to do this, it's not gonna be, I'm gonna pay for everything if there's a problem. It'll be his group, but not the I. That won't work. And if you're looking at the same fees for something like that, I mean, that's outrageous. And you've got people like the Snowdrift that come in. Not even, this agreement's nowhere even close for a one-day event. The trustee appointment, while I have no issues with Mary Jo personally, it was done incorrectly. Mary has no right to nominate that person, it comes from you. You did the last one on the appointee, that was proper. When you suggest the chairman of the board, you are the only one that can nominate that individual. Not her, not Rick. Oh yeah, you did it right the second time.
If you do it.
You did it wrong the first time. You have to make the resume.
I'm just a
You asked
trustee.
for the appointment. You asked for the appointment. You're the only one that can ask for that appointment to be filled by that individual.
I'm only a trustee, other than the supervisor.
You're what?
Yeah, I'm only a trustee
No,
sitting
you're
here.
not. Your title is supervisor, and that's the one by law that has the authority, and you're the one that has the authority.
The only authority
She
I
does
have
not.
is to appoint a planning
I'm
commission.
not gonna argue with you. I'm telling you right now.
You didn't
it's law.
appoint. Oh,
Okay? So it was improper. I think that what's happening here, I'm seeing the board sort of fall apart except for three people stand together. It has no right to yell at anybody sitting on that table or anybody out here. He has no rights. You have to control him, which you tried to do, but you obviously can't. There's a big problem there, and he, again, overextends his authority. He's not the person that has authority to throw people out of meetings. He has none. You do, he doesn't. He shouldn't even open his mouth. It's your discretion to do that. There's a lot more. You guys are just out of line with everything that you do.
so many
And it's all
times.
premature. You should never have brought any of this to the table for vote, not one thing.
Wasn't
So-
funny.
All I got to say.
As far as the fees, I'd like to, I have board comments. As far as the fees on the schedule, I actually had to lower the fees on the daily because once I looked at both the daily and the multi-use, you would have to explain to me how we can charge local citizens more on a daily basis than we charge the chamber
Exactly. Or
So-
anybody else.
or anybody else, so it has to be equal. So like you said, if we charge $300 for all those amenities to the chamber, then the prices that it was unfair. So basically, the same fees that an individual citizen renting any portion of the park's paying is what got put into the chamber, and you see that it's far more than the chamber has been paying, so therefore it hasn't been fair. The chamber has been getting a huge discount over the regular citizens over the past years.
Everybody has that opportunity, really. I mean, I look at Vet Fest. Vet Fest has the same opportunity. They should be charged the same amount as the chamber. If it's a resident, if it's a group from this community, it always should get a discount because it's of and for the people.
You cannot give discounts.
You don't own what you're selling. You don't own
We
the
cannot- We
electricity.
cannot show favoritism from one
person to the next, from one entity to the
Oh,
next.
but you can. You can always say anything, that residents of a county or a city or a township have rights, certain rights that others don't have. That's like school tuition. People from outside the state don't get the same price as those in the state. Is that unfair? No, but that's the rule. And they do it in several other things that you find all over. Residents get something.
Okay, so are all the chamber members residents of Riley?
Who knows? What's that got to do with anything? The
Well, you're
chamber
saying
members
that
are,
residents
the
would get.
chamber,
You're
the
saying
organization
that
itself
residents-
is.
It doesn't matter who
residents.
the individuals are and where they come from. It's a unit.
All right.
I'm just
Well,
saying.
it was
something.
just, it was my comment. The fee schedule was so broke between a daily person going in to have a birthday party and an event going on to where they wanted to reduce their costs, I get it. But I tried to make it fair, so I had to literally reduce the amount by 50%. The amount that we charge daily to individuals in order to even come close to that figure, which, like you said, that's even gonna raise the chamber's fees.
Needs to be rethought.
But it has to be fair and equal across the board. That's something that ethically, it just has to be. You can't charge Joe Schmo and give Peter Paul different prices. That's something that I've had a pet peeve with here from the beginning. So
I don't have a problem
as long
with
as we
that.
come up with a fee schedule that will help support the park and its activities and the costs associated with doing some of these things, and as long as it's fair and equal across the board for everybody,
Okay, and
That's-
Including board
that's-
members?
including board members, yes, everybody.
yeah, it's got a lot of work that needs to be
Yeah.
done. All of these documents do, because water is
But
the
you
first
can,
one.
you can take a look at the two documents and see the fee schedule and why I did what I did.
I
That
And it
was
was just
important.
throw something in the middle. I had to lower one and raise the other in order to get it the same.
Yeah, but
But that's something that needs to be fair and equitable across the board.
What was that figure? You said $500.
$595, if you took every service there for 3 days, it comes to $595.
So last year where it was, what was it, $295, I believe that Fest paid.
Yeah.
This year it's gonna be over
Yeah,
$500.
it's gonna be and that would be the Vet Fest as well.
Yeah.
Same
If you
thing.
needed all of those amenities. Well, I don't know, you might have individualized some stuff, because we kind of grouped some of the electricity together. I don't know if you took it for each, I don't know how you came up with your numbers.
Just simply maximizing it and adding it up.
Did you take individual pedestal fees instead of the group
No, I
pedestal
took the
fees?
group deal.
The group deal,
And
okay.
it's because it says per day,
Right.
not per day. When you add that up, $30 times 3 is 90, you keep adding them up.
So if you go in with rent, yeah, well, I had to do it, if we do it for one day and you use it for 3 days, you gotta charge 3 days worth.
I got that, that's why it's $595.
If Ivana rents the park one day, she pays, and if she rents the second day, she pays it. And now, if Ivana gets 2 days and she gets 1 day, Ivana would have to pay for 2 days and her for 1 day. That makes 3 days worth.
It's wrong.
Okay.
That's all
He
I'm
doesn't wanna
saying.
hear what you're
Okay.
saying,
But
No,
it-
it doesn't.
No, it
He's-
doesn't.
That's why
It's an
he's
attempt to
talking
try
so
to be
much.
fair
talking in circles.
Yeah.
to everybody.
No, okay.
Yeah, well,
That's it.
who's
I'm
next?
sorry, that was the only one I had.
I'm sorry, but I filled one out.
I don't see it.
Well, I'm sorry you don't have it, but I
Oh,
put my name
it's sitting
down.
You left it on the clipboard.
You didn't turn it.
Well, it's still there.
It's up to you to turn it in.
Forgive me. I want you to all know that this was live. I posted it live, this meeting, and if I can find it. And this is to address a comment that Mary made last meeting. Consider the only people here are just a minute part of our community. I'm gonna tell you, it's not. It's not. Ed, wake up. These are some of the comments. Mary Whitmire, didn't she resign as clerk? Wow, nice professional reaction, clerk.
excuse me,
I-
please.
Oh, right.
Finish,
Don't
let her
speak.
finish.
No,
I
she's
have a
gotta
phone
take, she's
call.
gotta take this
It's
call.
the SNA software, so I
Well,
have
this is
to
on tape, so
excuse.
you can watch it if you'd like, Mary. Wow, he, referring to Ed, has control issues, control and anger issues, and he should not be on the board. And that brings me to the point, if the board has the right to remove somebody for, what was it, disturbing the peace, for lack of the correct term,
Right,
why won't they react to the board?
right.
If the board, they're same issue.
I try to get through the meetings.
Absolutely, you're
If there was
right.
a question, let me respond. I try to get through the meetings the best I can. My alternative is to adjourn the meeting and reconvene at another time.
So you will not remove a board member from the meeting? You will not give them a warning to,
I don't
Stop-
believe I
stop
can
the
remove
route.
a board member.
you can. And then here, let me come back to here.
Nor would I want to. I'd want to get through the business.
Oh,
as
that's
best
your
as
lead,
possible.
that's your leadership style. You can't knock a guy, that's the way you choose to do
Who's
it.
not, right, I won't knock anybody.
That's his style. So
News
beat him
group.
up over that.
I'm continuing with Mary Freeman's statement last meeting that very few people are care. Let's see. Where are you? Oops, there's more. There were people who were concerned about the park issue being on the agenda. And wow, it's all loaded. Darn it, and I can't remember the rest. In general, my point is, Mary, there are more people than you see that care about what's happening to our township.
Yes, there are. I agree with that because I hear it every day from people. So
Well, I'm glad you hear it every
I
day from
hear it
people.
every day.
The point is, the
People
statement
talk to
you
me.
made to the clerk last meeting,
Yes,
so it doesn't really matter what we have to say. He
It's not
should
what I
not be on
said.
this board. He needs to resign. As you and she, help me understand. Number one, Rick had a very good point. No one was mentioned, no interviews were given of anyone who applied for this position. Not one. So in one more time, we're doing what we want to do. And you, the people, don't matter. I am so tired of, a lot of people are real tired of getting and forgive me, FU treatment from this board. You think it's funny?
do I think it's funny?
No, I see your grin.
Because what you hear and what
Mary,
you say
this
is
is-
different
Mary,
than
this
me.
is her thing.
I know, but she's after me, so I'm.
I am not after you.
Yes, you are.
Oh, only you? Only you, Mary? No, not
Right
only you.
now, right now you are.
Bruno, clerk, what's his face? And Whitmire should not be on this board. You should not put our township through any more turmoil than you have already done. Spending all kinds of money on what? Instead of training a person to do their job, or no, have the knowledge to do accounting. No, don't bother, spend $30,000, what the hell? I'm done.
Thank you.
Is
Did
that
you
it?
have anything?
Is that it?
Rick, do you have anything? No. Okay, meeting adjourned. 10:35.